You walked through the door tonight and your dog lost its mind, whole body wagging, like you'd come back from war. You were gone 20 minutes. Here's the part nobody tells you. Your dog wasn't happy you were back. It was relieved you still existed. Because to your dog you don't have a name, a job, or a species. Your dog filed you under something that isn't human and isn't dog, a category it made just for you, and it's closer to parent than owner. Most people never ask what they actually are to their dog. They assume it's obvious. You're the human. You're the boss. You're the one with the food. But that's not how your dog sees it. And over the last 15 years, scientists have slid dogs into MRI machines, measured their hormones, and run them through tests built for human infants. The picture that came back is stranger and far more intimate than anyone expected. Start with the brain. In 2014, a neuroscientist named Gregory Berns at Emory University trained dogs to do something that sounds impossible. Climb into an fMRI scanner, lie perfectly still, and stay fully awake. No sedation, no restraints. The dogs volunteered. Then he ran a simple test. While each dog lay in the machine, he released 5 scents into the air, one at a time. The dog itself, a familiar dog, a strange dog, a stranger, and finally the dog's owner. And he watched one spot in the brain, the caudate nucleus, the reward center, the same region that fires in a human brain when you're about to get something you love. 4 of the 5 scents barely moved it. One lit it up like a switch. It wasn't the food. It wasn't another dog. It was you. Just your scent on a cotton swab. Not your face, not your voice. Set off the part of your dog's brain built for joy harder than anything else in the room. And some part of it said, that one matters. So you matter to your dog more than food, more than other dogs, more than its own smell. But mattering isn't the same as knowing what you are. A drug matters to an addict. The real question is how. What kind of bond is that brain actually building? For that, you need a different chemical.
In 2015, a team of Japanese researchers led by Miho Nagasawa at Azabu University published a study in the journal Science that quietly rewrote how we understand this bond. They measured oxytocin, the hormone your body floods with when a mother first holds her newborn, the bonding chemical behind the deepest attachment a human being can form. They simply had owners and dogs look into each other's eyes. And they found a loop. When the dog gazed at its owner, the owner's oxytocin rose. That made the owner hold the gaze longer and touch the dog more, which raised the dog's oxytocin, which made it gaze longer still, each one feeding the other. The exact same loop that runs between a human mother and her infant. Then they tried it with wolves, raised by people from birth, hand-fed, socialized. The loop never formed. The wolves wouldn't hold the gaze. Somewhere on the road from wolf to dog, your dog species borrowed the one-channel evolution built for mothers and children, and aimed it at you. Which brings us to that word, parent. And whether it's just a warm metaphor, it isn't. In the 1990s, researchers took a famous psychology experiment called the Strange Situation Test and pointed it at dogs. It was designed for human babies. You put a toddler in a strange room with its mother. The mother leaves. A stranger enters. Then the mother comes back. How the child reacts tells you everything about the bond. A securely attached child explores while she's there, falls apart when she leaves, settles the instant she returns. When scientists swapped the mother for the owner and ran dogs through it, the dogs did exactly what the babies did. With their owner there, they explored and relaxed. When the owner left, they stopped, went to the door, and waited. The moment the owner came back, the whole nervous system reset. Not for the stranger, for the owner. Your dog isn't running an attachment system built for packmates or for whoever fills the bowl. It's running the one built for a child and its parent. Here's where it stops being about chemicals. Give a dog a puzzle it can't solve, a treat sealed in a box it can't open. Watch what it does. It struggles for a few seconds. Then it stops, turns around, and looks back at you, right at your face, waiting for you to fix it. Now run the same test with a wolf, raised in the same home, by the same people, from the same age. The wolf never looks back. It keeps clawing at the box until it gives up or tears it open. It doesn't turn to a human for help, because the idea doesn't exist in its head. That single backward glance is one of the deepest lines between a dog and a wolf. The The wolf solves its own problems. The dog brings its problems to you, like a child who can't reach the top shelf. It built its whole way of moving through the world around one quiet assumption that you are the one who makes things okay. And this is the part that should sit a little uncomfortably, because none of it was your dog's choice. In 2019, researchers dissecting the facial muscles of dogs and wolves found something missing in the wolf. Dogs have a tiny muscle above the eyes, the one that lifts the inner eyebrows and makes that wide, soft, almost pleading look. The puppy dog eyes. Wolves barely have it. Dogs have a fully formed one, and it didn't appear by accident. For thousands of years, without ever planning to, humans kept the puppies whose faces hit us hardest, the ones that triggered the part of us that protects babies. We bred an animal to hijack our parental instinct. Then we bred it to need us back. The gaze, the helplessness, the look at the box. We didn't just find a friend in the dog. We built one. So is it love, or just very good design? Here's the honest answer. The loop runs both ways. When your dog's bonding chemistry climbs, so does yours. We didn't only rewire the dog rewired us. There are people whose blood pressure drops the moment their dog walks into the room. This isn't a trick one side plays on the other. It's a circuit 20,000 years in the making, and it loops through both of you. So what are you to your dog? Not its owner? Ownership is a word humans invented for property, and your dog has no concept of it. Not another dog. It can smell that you're not even quite human, because your dog has no idea what that word means. You're something older and simpler. You're the thing it looks for when the room turns frightening, the face it turns to when the box won't open, the one scent in the world that lights up the part of its brain reserved for what matters most. Your dog built a category that holds exactly one creature, and every time you come through that door, gone 20 minutes, gone 20 hours, it makes no difference. The only thing waiting behind that wagging body is a small, ancient animal feeling what a child feels when a parent comes home. You exist, you came back, and for your dog, that was never something it could take for granted.